الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدي وحبيبي ونور قلبي وثمرة فؤادي أبا القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله العلي العظيم في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Tonight our topic is Islam and free will. Meaning, do a human being have free will in anything that they do, or they don't have free will? This topic is very important from two angles. Number one, because it's one of the things that our imams dealt with, and it's also related to Karbala as well. Because when you go to Bani Umayyah, they are the first one, the first people to plant the seed of human beings don't have free will. They are the one who planted the seed. And today, you can hear the echo of it is repeated among Muslims. Without knowing that, they are following the school of thought of Bani Umayyah. Example, you ask a Muslim, why don't you pray? The answer is, Allah doesn't want me to. Why? Because if Allah wants, He would have guided me. Haven't you heard that? You ask a brother, why are you selling alcohol in your store, in your restaurant? It's haram. Say, Allah doesn't want me to stop. Because if He wants, He will stop me. And some of them, they only go one step further forward to ask you, can Allah stop me or not? Of course, yes, He can. Okay? If He doesn't stop me, that means He doesn't want me to stop. That is some of the answers. You ask a sister, why don't you wear hijab? Say, Allah doesn't want me to. Why is it that? Because if Allah wants me to wear hijab, He will have guided me and I will wear hijab. The fact that I don't wear hijab is because He doesn't want me to. And you know, by the way, this hijab is one of the important topics in Islam too. And I would like to elaborate a little about hijab and then come back to the topic about the free will. Because a lot of sisters today, when they don't wear hijab, you ask them, why don't you wear hijab, sister? Hijab is wajib in Islam. Hijab is wajib in Quran. They say, no, Allah doesn't want me to. If Allah wants, one night He can guide me. Tomorrow morning, I wake up and I want to wear hijab. But Allah doesn't want to, that's why I'm not wearing hijab. But is that true or false? But before we go to that point, let me elaborate the importance of hijab. But there is one thing about misconception about hijab. Because most of the time when we hear the word hijab, the first thing comes in mind, women. Right? Hijab is equal in our mind, women. While in Islam, hijab is not about women. No. And when you go to Surah An-Nur, ayah 30 to 31, look at Allah. When He talks about hijab, Allah started the hijab for men and then women second. So the word hijab is not about women and not men. No, hijab has to do everything with men and then women. Now, just a little about the hijab. What's the meaning of hijab? Hijab, literally in Arabic, it means covering, to cover something. That's what it means, right? And you go to Quran, Allah used the word hijab, right? Now, the actual meaning of hijab in Islam, it comes in three stages. The actual hijab, it is three different categories. But most of the time, we only think about one, not the other two. The first hijab in Islam, when the Quran talks about it in Surah An-Nur, is to lower your gaze as a man and woman both. And that is the first part of the hijab. Meaning, in Islam, it's not about I cover the entire body and that's it, but I can look anything that I want. No, that's not hijab. The first hijab Quran mentioned, it says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. A person, a mu'min, practicing Muslim, supposed to lower their gaze when they walk. They are not supposed to be looking at everything. No. That is the first part of hijab. And Allah said the same thing to the sisters as well. Right? That is the first part of hijab. The second part of hijab is what? Is the covering part. To cover, when Quran says, Allah said to the Prophet, Ya ayyuhan nabi, kul li banatik wa banatil mu'minina yudnina min jalabibihim. Where Quran tells us about the hijab, how should it be? Quran says it should be covering. Right? For the sisters, it should be covering the entire body except three parts. Part one is the face. Two, the arms here, the wrist. The third one is the feet. But there are different opinions among our scholars. Some said the face is even included, like Allama as-Sayyid, Ayatollah. One of the scholars, Al-Marhum, as-Sayyid Al-Khou'i, rahmatullah alayh, he sees that even face is part of the hijab. A woman has to cover. Other scholars, they don't see that. But they said that if a woman has some kind of beauty on her face, then she has to cover. Right? But the majority of them, they say, no, you don't have to. These are the three parts. But other than that, a woman is supposed to cover every part of her body. And that is part of the hijab. But here there is another misconception about the hijab. Here some of us, we think hijab is just to cover the head. Right? But the rest of the body, it's not a problem. Allahu Akbar. You see a woman, she's covered, she's hijab, muhajjaba, but you see, half of the head, the front is showing, and the back is covered. It's like she wants to tell you, this is for shaitan, and this is for Allah. Either you have to cover completely, which is called hijab, but this one is not considered hijab in Islam. You have to cover everything. Now, then some women, they cover the entire hair, right? But when you look at down, it's not hijab. Which means they covered. The body is covered, but it's not covered Islamically. Meaning what? Meaning they cover the body, but the clothes they're wearing is tight. That is not hijab. Now look at the Quran. What did the Quran say? It says, يُدْنِينَ مِنْ جَلَابِيبِهِنْ. The word jilbab in Arabic is a long dress that covers the body and doesn't show the shape of the body. So if a woman covers the head, but then the shape is shown, that is not a hijab in Islam. That is number two. Number three, about the same hijab. Now sometimes no, the body is covered properly, but it's still not considered hijab. Why? Because a hijab is not just to cover the body and that's it. No, if I have something that draws the attention of men, that is not called hijab in Islam. Meaning what? Meaning if I put a cologne, very strong, that anytime I pass a man, he will turn and look at me. That's not hijab in Islam. A woman is not supposed, even though if it's loose, I should not use a strong cologne, a strong perfume, which will draw attention of men towards me. That is number two. Number three, hijab that you wear, it's supposed to be a hijab that is not strong, colorful. Well, when you pass, everybody's looking at you. That is not hijab in Islam. That doesn't mean that Islam against colors. No, Islam loves colors. A hijab doesn't have to be a black. It doesn't have to be a specific color. But it should not be a very strong color where it draws attention of men. When they look at the person, when the person just approach, they just say, oh, this is a woman. MashaAllah, look at these colorful clothes. No, that is against hijab. That is number three. Number four, when you wear hijab, it might not be colorful. But your way you speak also can make you non-hijabi. Meaning what? When I wear hijab, it's not colorful, it looks nice, it's loose. But the way I talk, if the talk will draw the attention of men, it's considered non-hijab. Allahu Akbar. Look at all this is part of the hijab. So when a woman, if she is in that dress nicely, she has to be careful because the voice of a woman itself is considered awrah in Islam. That is why even a woman, when she prays and salat that we're supposed to pray out loud, Islam says a woman is not supposed to read it out loud. Maghrib, Al-Fajr and Isha. A man supposed to read it out loud and it's wajib to read out loud. But a woman, no. Islam says no, she doesn't have to. And especially if there is another man who can hear her voice, then it is haram on her to read out loud. Yes, if she is at home by herself or with her husband, she is allowed to read out loud. That's fine. But if there is another man who doesn't relate to her, who can hear her voice, Islam says haram. Right? That is number 4. Number 5, a woman is wearing hijab. The way she walks also can make her non-hijab. Right? As you walk, you wear a hijab. If your walk can also draw attention of other men, Islam is not called hijab. Because hijab has to be in a way that when a woman dresses, she walks normal, where the walk doesn't draw attention of other men to her. Right? Now all of this is considered what? Part of the hijab. They are puzzles. They have to all to be met for a person to be called hijab. Right? This is the hijab. Now, more than that, in Islam, hijab is something that Islam have emphasized. And not just Islam, by the way. You go to the Judaism, they also talk about hijab. You go to Christianity, they talk about hijab. Now, go back and check in the Judaism, right? The Orthodox Jews, they believe in hijab, that every woman has to cover. But today, they don't cover the way they're supposed to. But they still cover. How do they do? Most of the women of the Jewish Orthodox, when they cover, their way of covering as well is to wear a wig on top of them. That's the way of hijab. Right? They know they're supposed to cover, but they don't want to cover the way they're supposed to, according to their religion, but they put a wig, so that way they read her, it's not shown to other men. That is in Judaism. Now you come to in Christianity, also there is hijab as well. Now think about it, brothers and sisters. You go back to every picture that you can see, right? About a Virgin Mary. Look at how they draw her. Did you ever get anybody to draw Mary and she is not properly dressed? And Christianity, and there is a church here, you go to the church and look at all the pictures that they have about the birth of Jesus. None of them ever draw Maryam alayhi salam, and she is not covered from head to toe. Why? Because they believe Mary, she is muhajjaba. She covers from head to toe. That is one. Number 2, the same in Christianity. When you go to Vatican today, the nuns that you see who are religious in Christianity, you see every one of them, they covered like Muslim covers. Right? Long dress, the head is covered. Right? This is because in Christianity, every woman is supposed to cover. Now, in Islam says a woman have to cover too. Right? Along with the men have to have hijab too. But we're talking about the sisters now before we come to the men. Now in Islam says a woman supposed to cover. Why? You go to the Quran. Quran tells you there are 3 reasons why Islam said hijab is important. Number 1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says ذَلِكَ أَدْنَى أَنْ يُعْرَفْنَا. The first wisdom why Allah prescribed hijab, when you go to the ayah that Allah talks about hijab, because in Islam, before the hijab was made wajib, women were allowed to either wear hijab or they don't wear hijab. It's up to them. In the previous, and in Islam, right? One day there were 2 sisters who were going to the masjid, but they didn't wear hijab because it's not wajib at that time. Now, as they were on their way to the masjid, there were 2 men who were sitting on their way. Right, to the masjid. Then they started to call them. Right? The men were talking to the sisters. Can you come and talk to us? Where are you going? Come on in. Right? Now these sisters, they were hurt because they did not come out because of men. They came out to go to pray. Right? So they went and complained to the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, this is what happened today. As we were coming to the masjid, there were some young men who were approaching us, thinking that we came out for haram. Allah told the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, tell those women that from today onwards, when they come out, they should cover. Why? Then Quran said, ذَلِكَ أَدْنَا أَنْ يُعْرَفْنَا. Because hijab is an identity for a Muslim woman. When a woman is dressed in hijab, everybody who sees her, he knows she is a Muslim. That's identity, right? Versus a person or a woman who doesn't wear hijab. How can you identify her? Now, even among ourselves, if you see two women, one is covered, one is not covered, how can you tell this woman who is not covered as a Muslim? Unless she tells you or unless she talks to you. Right? But a Muslim who is wearing hijab, as soon as you see her, you can identify this is a Muslim. That is one of the reasons why Islam said a woman should cover. One. Number two, one of the reasons Islam says is Allah yu'dain. So they don't get hurt by whom? By the bad people. Like the way it happened with the sisters when the eye was revealed upon the Prophet. Because when they come out, a bad people who might think wrong about them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, then it will protect that feelings, that bad hurt that the man might bring to you. That is number two. Number three, Islam prescribes hijab because Islam wants to protect the sisters. And here, I just want your logic. And sisters understand this example perfectly. Because most of the time, the sisters, they have jewelry. Right? Now you look at the sisters, how do they protect their jewelry? Most of the women, the golds and diamonds, they have a shell, a box, they put them in it. Right? That is one. Number two, then there is another box, they put it with the lock. Ya Allah, why? Because it's very important, valuable, right? Gold and diamond, that's how they protect it. You will never go to any woman's house and see her jewelry just sitting on the table. Why? Because it's valuable. Now here Islam said, you a woman, you are valuable to Allah. The way you protect your jewelry, so nobody touches it because it's important to you. Allah said, you are more important to me than your jewelry. So the way you protect your gold and diamonds and you cover them in boxes, Allah said, I want you to be protected from the robbers. Robbers are those who steal, because there are two kinds of people who steal, right? Some of them, they steal your money. Some of them, they steal your clothes. But this one, no. They will steal your dignity. And in order for Islam to protect you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, no, you should be in the state of hijab. Right? And here you hear a lot of sisters, they say the reason why we don't wear hijab, because hijab stops you from being in the field. Allahu Akbar. When did hijab stop any woman from being in the field? Right? I give you one example. If you want to be a speaker, public speaker, it doesn't stop you. Zainab salamullah alayha, she spoke in the public. The wife of the Imam Ali alayhi salam, Az-Zahra alayhi salam, when they stole the right of Imam Ali alayhi salam, she came in full hijab in Masjid al-Nabawi and she gave the long speech to men. Didn't stop her when she was wearing hijab. The same Zahra alayhi salam about the importance of hijab. When a man came to visit her to ask question, and Zahra alayhi salam, the man was blind, huh? As the man walked in, Zahra alayhi salam, she had herself covered, hijab, full hijab. The man asked his question and he left. And he was blind. After he left, then Fadda asked Zahra alayhi salam, so he was blind. It wasn't necessary for you to cover. He cannot even see you. You know what she said? She said, yes, he cannot see me, but I can see him. Hijab is not just for him, it's for me as well, for my own protection as well. That when I cover myself in that hijab, it protects me and it protects him as well. And that is one of the philosophy of hijab in Islam. And you go to any Islamic country today, you see how women, for example, like in Islamic Republic of Iran, you see a woman, they participating in everything, in basketball with their hijab, in football with their hijab, in soccer with their hijab, and horse riding with their hijab, and hiking with their hijab, and hijab doesn't stop them. Working in the offices with their hijab as well. Allahu Akbar. When did hijab stop somebody from being in the field? So hijab is not only that is something that gives you a dignity, it also opens the door for you to be in the field as well. And just for your understanding, you know, when Islam talks about hijab and we take it lightly, you ask any man that you can find, Muslim or non-Muslim, and ask them this question. If you have two sisters, one of them is covered in hijab, one of them is non-hijab, who among the two you have the courage to go and approach? Ask everyone. What will be the answer? The one without hijab? It's easy, target. I can go talk to her easily. But the one with hijab, there is something I can see which tells me, back off. I have principles. I have religion. I have God. Without telling, just looking at her, there is something tells you that this woman has principle. She is not like any other lady. Because she has Allah, she has Prophet, she has Imams. And that is what the example of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam left us. Right? Now you come to men, as we mentioned, now just about the sisters. Now men, we think that, no, Allahu Akbar, Allah lets us loose free. We don't have to worry about hijab. No, we have hijab too. What is our hijab? As a man. Now our hijab as a man has two parts. One part is mandatory and the other one is mustahab. And the mustahab part is, in Islam we are encouraged to dress like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know the ayah says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Right? How did the Prophet used to dress? You know, a man is supposed to have a turban. All of us, as we said, if we want to go with the sunnah of the Prophet, we're all supposed to get the turban. And you go and check in the fiqh, Bab libas al-musalli, just as prayer time. They say at least if you don't wear it all the time, at least the recommendation is higher at the time of namaz. That you have a turban on, right? That is one of your hijab. If you think you're loose, no, you're not. You're supposed to. That's one. Number two, you're supposed to wear also the same like the Prophet, which is aba and qaba. Like this and this one. Right? Even in the salat, they said, even if you don't wear the qaba, at least it's mustahab to have this on. And Allahu Akbar, brothers, you know, by experience, you try it and see. When you are more covered in your namaz, you feel connected better than if you were shorts. And I can tell you that in Judaism, they feel that. You know, Jews, when they pray, they have something they cover, right? So that they can get connected. Now, the more you cover in your prayer, the more you can get more connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why, even in Islam, it's mustahab for a Muslim male, before you do your prayer, you have your turban on, your aba and your qaba, and you stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, full covered. Right? That is a man. Now, in case you can't, right? It's too much, too hard, can't deal with it. Good. There is a wajib part that Islam says you have to. Can't go beyond that. Right? Now, also part of the mustahab, but before I come to the wajib, is mustahab for a man, even if you don't wear these clothes, at least to wear something long sleeves. It's mustahab. Right? And the pants also should be very low. So that way it covers the entire body. And it should be loose as well. It's haram for a man also to wear a tight cloth. Don't think that is just for sisters. A man is not supposed to wear tight clothes. When he stands, his shapes shows. That's haram in Islam. No, you're supposed to wear loose. But not as loose as we see on the street. No. Not that loose and not that tight, right? No, because some of us, mashallah, when we say loose, meaning that I have to wear oversized pants where it drags the drag, it's like cleans the street as I walk. No. That is called haram too, because that is called israf. You're wasting the clothes. Not that far and not this far as well. It has to be somewhere in the middle. Right? Now for men, when you wear something loose, it's also supposed to be in your size, nice, where it fits, where it doesn't show your shape. Right? That is that one. And then the third wajib part, where a man not supposed to expose, right, from the chest all the way to the under the knee. You have to cover it. Right? Especially whether it's in salat or basketball, the knee is part of the aura. It's supposed to be covered. That is the wajib part. Right? This is on top of the first one, which is to lower your gaze as you walk. Right? And this is both sides, for male and for female as well. Right? But when I say lower your gaze, I don't mean you put your head down and you run into people's house. No. No. Lower your gaze, meaning lower your gaze. You understand, as you walk, as you can raise your head at certain point when it's necessary, and put them down when it's necessary. And that is about the importance of hijab. There is more to it, but this is just enough for tonight. But now let's go back to the point. You are with me? We're talking about the importance of free will in Islam, right? And we came to talk about hijab because a lot of sisters, a lot of people, they're using this as a way out, right? You ask them, why don't you wear hijab? Allah doesn't want to guide me. Why don't you pray? Allah doesn't want to guide me. And I can, like we said, this is a foundation that was set by Bani Umayyah. Go back to the day after Ashura. You know, when they were bringing the prisoners from Karbala to Kufa, right? As soon as they brought the prisoners to the castle of Yazid, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the first thing he said, when he saw Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he asked him, Ma ismuk? Imam Zayn al-Abidin said, Ismi Ali. What is your name? He said, my name is Ali. Then he said, Awalaysa qad qatala Allahu aliyan. Isn't Allah already killed Ali? Now listen carefully to this question. Isn't Allah killed Ali? Now listen to the answer of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Imam answered, Kana li akhan. I had a brother called Ali. Qatalahu nas. He was killed by people. He was saying, he was killed by Allah. Imam said, no. He was killed by people because he was to put this notion in the mind of people that don't blame us. Whatever we do is Allah's done. Action, not us. We killed Imam Hussein. No, don't blame us. Blame Allah. Because if Allah didn't want, it's not going to happen. That is the notion. So Imam Zayn al-Abidin said, no, it's not. That's not the case. He was killed by people. That is number one. Number two, the same prisoners, when they went to Sham, now it's Yazid's turn, right? Yazid, as soon as they walk in, he read this ayah in Surah Al-Imran. He said, تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُعَزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. Allah gives the kingdom to whomever He wishes and takes the kingdom from whomever He wishes. Right? He honors whomever He wishes and puts down whoever He wishes. That's the ayah he read. What does He mean? Allah wanted me, Yazid, to be king, and I'm king today. Allah wanted to put Hussein down, and he got killed. So Allah, I'm not to be blamed. Allah is to be blamed. Right? That is number two. Number three, the same Yazid, when he saw Zainab alayhi salam, when she was coming in, he asked her, Ya Zainab, كيف رأيت ما صنع الله بأبي? What did you see? What do you think about what Allah did to your brother? Allah did to her brother, not him. So if you don't blame me, he wants to tell Zainab and all of us today to think that no, Yazid and Bani Umayyah, they didn't do anything. It all belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Zainab salamullah alayha, she answered, she said, Wallahi ma ra'aytu illa jamila. I didn't see anything that Allah does except beautiful. Whatever He does is beautiful. But what you did was the worst thing. Right? Allah didn't kill Hussein. Allah didn't kill Ahlul Bayt, but you did kill Ahlul Bayt. So the notion was there. And not only that, brothers and sisters, up to date, as we speak, they went and wrote so many ahadith in the Muslim book today, and you can see today as scholars, Muslim countries, they are echoing this. Right? Now you go to some of the books, Sunan Abi Dawood, Al-Bayhaqi, and so on, you see there is hadith they fabricated from the Prophet because it does no base in Islam. They said, the Prophet said, every human being, right? Before they were born, Allah ascends angel when the baby is in the mother's womb with 4 things. Number 1, the angel blows the life in that baby. 1. 2, then Allah tells the angel to write if the baby will be a good or bad. Allah writes about the baby before he was born. His baby is good, if he will be good or bad. That's 2. Number 3, then Allah writes also the risk of that baby. How much is going to earn, how much is not going to earn. That's 3. Number 4, which is the point, then Allah writes his actions. Whatever he's going to do, Allah writes it. So he comes to this world, and Allah already writes everything, wrote everything. So it's not your choice. Today you and I, you're in the Majliss, it's not your choice. Allah wants you to come. In other words, we are like robots, right? But Allah is the one who is driving us. Or in other words, like a car, but Allah is the driver. Right? That is the notion that Bani Umayyah, they planted. And today is echoing. Today, even when you go to some of the kingdoms and Arab countries, they echoing the same thing. Right? They said, if we are kings, we didn't choose to be kings. Allah chose us to be king. So don't even dare to stand against us. Why? Because if you stand against us, you are standing against the will of Allah. Because Allah wanted us to be kings, so don't go against the teaching of Allah. And today you can see a lot of people being prosecuted, killed, just because they say something against the government. Right? Not only that, they have another hadith they said, the Prophet says, do not speak against your leader if he is a tyrant or a good leader. Be quiet. Because it's not his choice, Allah chose him. And today you see, some of the ulamas, they go on the members and they're echoing these words to calm people down so you don't revolt or stand against the tyrant of your time. Because Allah chose them. Right? Now, because of that, that continued and it became an ideology. And they call it in Aqa'id, they call those group Al-Jababira. Al-Jababira means they believe that everything we do is against our will. It's Allah's will. You have no any free will. Everything that you do is Allah who does it, not you. You have no choice. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is one of the school of thought. That is what they believe. And let me give you an example just to clarify their thought. Because this thought and this ideology, it makes Allah a tyrant. It's like you telling your son, can you get me water? The son brings you a glass of water, then you tell him drink the water. He drinks the water and then you smack him. So why did you drink water? Because you told me to drink? So yes, I did, but I want to punish you anyway. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us the power, right? To sin, drink alcohol, go to haram. And He wanted us to do that. And then Yawm al-Qiyamah when we come, He takes it and put it in the hellfire. Why? Because I wanted you to do it, but I want to punish you anyway. That is the notion. That is the first group, right? That is called Al-Jababira. That is the first school of thought. But there is opposite school of thought too against this. Because there are 3 schools of thought. The second school of thought, they say no. We don't agree with this first. Our school of thought is, and they call them in Aqa'id, Al-Mufawwada. Al-Mufawwada, they say, our belief is when Allah created us, as soon as we arrive in this world, Allah washes His hand of us. And not only washes His hands off, He cannot even control us anymore. Allahu Akbar. That is the second school of thought. Example, like you and I. You have a baby. When he becomes 18, you don't have any control. Now he's 18, he can do whatever he wants to do, right? It's now 18, adult. They say the same thing. When you come to this world, as soon as Allah writes that the person should be born on this day, as soon as he or she born, that's it. Allah cannot intervene in anything that we do. We have the complete freedom. We do whatever we want, and Allah cannot intervene. Giving you more examples. Your body is your body, right? But do you control how your heart beats? No. It's your body, but you don't control it. Now, the cells in your blood, do you control how they function? No. If you eat something, can you tell your stomach not to digest it? No. Do you control it? No. But it's your body, but you can't control it anymore. Right? They say the same thing with Allah. As soon as we were born, Allah's control is not longer on us. We do whatever we want, and nobody can even intervene in that. That's the second school of thought. Right? There's a third one, which is the Ahlul Bayt school of thought. That is our belief. What is it? Where Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Because at this time, these two schools of thought were big. Right? Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, when they asked him, he said, La jabra wa la tafweel. Not this and not that. But the truth is between the two. وَلَكِنَّ الْأَمْرَ بَيْنَ الْأَمْرَيْنِ. And they asked Imam Ali alayhi salam too about this. And he told them, when the man asked him, do we have free will or we don't? Imam said, raise one of your legs. He did. The man raised his leg. And he said, that is exactly what the case is. What is it? He said, when you raise your leg, one of them, do you have control of him or not? Yes. He said, yes. Okay, when the one is down, can you raise it? They said, no. I said, that's the same thing. That meaning, in life, there are certain things you don't have control over it, and there are certain things Allah has given you control over it. Example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you control of certain things in your life, and certain things you have no control. Number one, nobody has a control who's your father gonna be. Do you have anybody choose your father? No. You were born and you found out this is my dad, this is my mom. If you're happy, alhamdulillah. If you're not happy, you stuck with them for the rest of your life. Can't change it. It's not like a car you can change, right? No. If you buy a car and you're not happy about it, it's okay, I'm going to return it and get a new one. Yes? But your father and the mother, you cannot choose them. Allah is the one who chooses them. Right? That is one. Number two, you come to this world. The color of your skin, do you choose it or Allah chooses for you? Allah chooses it. Or you can't change it. Allah makes that decision for you. Right? Now, you come to this world. Who will be your sister? Who will be your brother? Do you choose that? No. You have an annoying brother. Too bad you stuck with him. You can't change it. Good sister? Alhamdulillah. Happy for the rest of your life. Right? Good. This, you can't change it. You cannot change it. But then there is other things Allah gave you the option you can change. Example? Like Allah gave you the choice to choose who your spouse is going to be. Allah gave you a choice to choose your religion. Allah gave you a choice to choose who your friends are going to be. These are things you have a choice on. Now, so in Islam, there are certain things you have a choice and certain things you have no choice. That is why on the Day of Judgment, Allah will not ask you about this you have no choice on. Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah is not going to ask you, why did you choose this to be your dad? No, that's not in your count. Because it's not your choice. But Allah will ask you, why did you choose this to be your wife? Allah will ask you, why did you choose this man to be your friend? You will be asked because you have a choice about it. Right? Now, just to understand this topic better, let me take you to the 3 stages just to understand it better, because it's very important, especially our time. Now, we're going to use 3 stages to answer this question properly. Number 1, through the Quran. Number 2, through the Hadith. Number 3, the logic as well. The first part, when you go to the Quran, there are so many ayahs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we give you free will. The first ayah is the ayah we started in Surah Al-Insan. Ayah number 3. Inna hadaynahu sabil imma shakiran wa imma kafura. Allah said from day 1, when we created a man, we guided him or her to the 2 paths. One path of the guidance and the path of misguidance. The path of Allah and the path of shaitan. But you have to make the choice. If you want to take this route that takes you to Allah, it's your choice. If you want to take that route to take you to shaitan, it's your choice too. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put you in front of 2 paths. But the choice is yours. Right? That's ayah number one. Ayah number two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكَ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ نَارًا أَحَاطَ بِهِمْ سُرَادِقُهَا. Allah says, the truth have come to your Lord. From your Lord, whoever wish, the ayah said, wish to believe, shall do so. Whoever wish not to believe, shall do so as well. So the ayah indicates that we have a free will. We have a choice. We can choose either to go this way or to go that way. And that's nothing to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That is ayahs. Now the hadith. You know, Imam Abu Hanifa, one of the great school of thought, right? One of the great scholars, who was a student of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. One day he came to Imam Ja'far's house to ask a question, and Imam Ja'far was not there. And he saw Imam Ja'far's son, which is Imam Musa al-Qadhi. And he said to Imam Musa, and Imam Musa was young, was like 9-10 years old. He asked him, he said, where's your dad? He said, my dad is out, he's not in the house. He said, I have a question, can you answer my question? I said, go ahead, I will answer your question, go ahead. Because you know, Abdul alayhi salam, the age doesn't matter with them. Their knowledge, they take it from the time of birth. Abu Hanifa asked Imam Musa al-Qadhi, he said, Ya Ghulam, and you call him Ghulam. Ghulam means the child, the son, right? Ya Ghulam, mimman al-ma'siyah. The sin, the action that we do, where does it come from? Is it from Allah or from us? Who does the action? Then Imam said to him, he said, your question has three phases. Number one, either we said it's from Allah and from the servant, meaning two partners. One is Allah and one is us. He tells us what to do and we play whatever he asks us to do, right? He said, فَمَا كَانَ يَنْبَغِي لِلشَّرِيكِ الْقَوِيُّ أَنْ يُعَذِّبَ الشَّرِيكَ الضَّعِيفِ بِذَنْبٍ هُمَا اقْتَرَفَا. He said, if we say everything that we do, it comes from Allah and us, both of us together are doing it. He said, and the partner, the first partner is Allah, which is the greatest partner, the biggest one. He said, He will not punish the weaker partner in a sin they both committed. Right? They're both partners. Because normally when you go to business and you're partners, you share everything equal, right? That's what partners do. Now, if Allah is partner in our action and we did something wrong, now Yawm al-Qiyamah, then He takes Himself out and He put us in the hellfire. He said that is not an action of a good partner. Right? That is one. Number two, أو إما منه, or either we say Allah is the only one who does. We have nothing to do with it. He's the one who does the action. He said فَمَا كَانَ لِرَبٍّ كَرِيمٍ أن يعذب عبده بذنب لم يقترف. He said Allah, who is generous, as we know, He would not punish His servant for sin that the servant didn't commit. But if we say Allah is the only one who does it and we are not partner in it, they said, why would Allah punish us Yawm al-Qiyamah for something He hasn't done? Doesn't make any sense. That's number two. Number three, Imam said, وَإِمَّا مِنْهُ. You know, first, either they are partners, right? Or, no, just Allah is the one who does the action, not the human. Or the third one, either a human being is the one who does the action, not Allah. Right? It's if Allah is not the one who does it, but us as a human. And Imam, and between the parentheses, as he was talking about the third one, he said, وَهُوَ مِنْهُ. And he said, really, the action comes from human, not from Allah. And he says, فَإِنْ عَذَّبَهُ فَبِذَنْبِهِ. If He decided to punish, for because of his action. وَإِنْ عَفَا عَنْهُ فَبِرَحْمَتِهِ. If He chooses to forgive him, then that is because of His mercy. Which Imam Al-Qadim alayhi salam in this hadith, he made it clear to us that everything we do is from us and not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are the responsible for our own action. That is number two. Now let's come to the aql. Now if we want to understand whether we have free will or we don't, This example is from Allama al-Hilmi, rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, one of the great scholars. He gave an example. He said, if you are walking on the stairs, just to give us an example about free will and lack of free will. He said, if you're walking on the stairs, you know you are faced with three options. Option number one, you can stop at any time you want, right? Two, you can continue after stopping. That is option number two. Option number three, you can choose to come back. Don't we have these choices? When you're walking on the stairs, you can stop, continue, come back. You have the choice, right? Versus if somebody pushes you on the stairs, right? You're on the third floor, God forbid, somebody pushes you. Now you're falling. Can you say, oh, I'm going to stop in the middle of the air and then continue? No. Why? Because in the first one, there is a choice of stopping and not stopping. But the second one, there's no choice. When somebody pushes you, the only choice is you hit the ground. You like it or not, you die. There's only one way and there's no two. Now, in the first one, you can sense there is a choice. The second one, you can feel there is no choice. They said, if you think about your action, do you think it's like the first one or the second one? Of course, it's the first one. Because when you choose to come to the Majliss, you have the free will to stop if you want to. You have the free will to continue if you want to, but you choose to come anyway. You don't feel like somebody pushes you against your will. No, there is a free will. And that is what it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us free will. That is number one. Number two, they said if we don't have a free will, then sending the Prophet is useless. Having Imam is useless. Why? Because what is the point of Imam? If Allah already created me in a way that I cannot be changed. Because the Imam and the Prophet, their job is to come and help us to be better people. Their job is to come and change us. Now, if we were created in a way we cannot change, then what is the point of Imam and the Prophet? They're pointless. That is number two. Number three, if Allah created us and we have no free will, then what is the point of hell and heaven? Because heaven and hellfire, it's supposed to be for people who have free will. And that is why angels, they don't have a heaven. Why? Because they have no free will. We have a free will. That is why Allah created a heaven and hellfire for us. So Allah, if He knows that we don't have free will, then what is the point of hell? What is the point of heaven? It's pointless. Allah created the heaven and hell because He knew that we have a free will. And based on that free will, Allah rewards or punishes you, which indicate that we have free will. So the free will is there. Now, another point. You know, these brothers and sisters, the importance of this free will comes in two aspects. Number one is to let us know that we always have room for improvement. Don't be like others who always think that, no, I don't have room for any improvement. It's Allah who does it and I can't change anything. No, you can change. You have the free will. And there are so many examples that happen in the life of mu'mineen who were used to be bad and they tend to become good. Example, there's one companion of Imam Musa al-Kadhim, right? It's called Bishr al-Hafi. Bishr was one of the companions. He loved to party. Every weekend, he will invite people to his house. Drinking, dancing, having fun. One of the companions went to Imam Musa. Ya ibn Rasulillah, this is your companion. But he is disturbing the neighbors with songs and dancing and alcohol. Can you do something? Imam Musa al-Kadhim said, sure, I will do something about it. One day, Bishr al-Hafi invited so many people to his house. They came dancing, drinking, alcohol, everything. Imam came to pass by. As Imam came to the door, there was a servant of Bishr who came to throw their food out. The trash. She wanted to throw it out. Imam stopped her. And he asked her, where is your master? She said, my master is inside. Then Imam asked her a question. Allahu Akbar. Allah, the question is like a nuclear bomb. It's a word, but it's the bomb itself. The question that Imam asked her, it says, is your boss or your master, is he a slave or a free man? Which means it's not is he a slave or not a slave? Then the lady said, he is not a slave. You know what Imam said to her? He said, you're really right. Because had your boss happened to be a slave of Allah, he would have felt the wrong of what he was doing. That was an Imam then. Right? Now the lady gets in, she told Bishr al-Hafid, Ya Bishr, a man came at the door and he asked me this question and I told him this and this was his response. The Bishr asked him, can you describe the man to me? He said, I saw the man, his face looked like prophet, very shining, very humble. Bishr knew that was Imam. Right? And it's called Bishr al-Hafi, meaning a barefoot Bishr. He left the house with no shoe, ran behind Imam. He got and met Imam. He was crying. And he told Imam, I'm so sorry about what I have done. I promise you from today, I want to change. I will never ever do this mistake anymore. Imam said, Ya Bishr, if you do tawbah, Allah will accept you. Go ahead. Bishr went home. He told everybody in the house, from today onwards, no more partying. He took all the alcohol, dumped it, took the food, everything, and told everybody to leave. And from that day, he changed and became one of the best servants of Imams. And not only today, when you go to Baghdad, his grave is there because later on he became a student and he became a scholar and he became one of the best righteous servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was Bishr. Now the point of this story to tell us that we have a free will. We can change. We might be bad in the beginning and we can change later to become good, or the other way around. And all this is based on what? On free will of human beings. Right? So the importance is we have a free will as a human, and whatever we do is our own choice, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choice. Right? And that is what the teaching of Ahlul Bayt is about, the free will. And you can tell that on the day of Ashura. Right? When Imam alayhi salam, all his companions were gone. All of them were killed. And now it's only left with his Ahlul Bayt. Imam alayhi salam looked at left and right, and none of his companions is still alive. And that was when Imam started to call for help. هل من ناصر ينصرنا هل من معين يعيننا هل من ذاب يذب عن حرم رسول الله. Is there anyone to come to our help? Is anyone there to help us and come to our aid? Imam, as he was calling for help, a young man came out called Ali al-Akbar. And you know how Imam described this young man? He said, كان أشبه الناس خلقا وخلقا ومنطقا لرسول الله. The most resembled person to the Prophet. His words is like the Holy Prophet's words. His walking is like the Holy Prophet. His features, his face is like the Holy Prophet. Imam Hussein said that after the death of the Prophet, anytime we want to see the Prophet, and the Prophet is not among us, we always look at Ali al-Akbar. He reminds us about the Prophet. After the Prophet, when we want to hear the voice of Rasulullah, and Rasulullah is not among us, he said we call Ali al-Akbar and ask him to speak or say adhan, and he reminds us of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is Ali al-Akbar. On that day he came out and he said to his father, Ya Abba, ana nasir. I'm here to help you. What can I do? Imam Hussein alayhi salam had his son Ali al-Akbar, who has been very helpful from the beginning of the journey. He was supportive to his father until this moment. He said to his father, oh my father, I'm here to support and help you in any way that I can. Then Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when he had Ali al-Akbar, he started crying. And do you know the meaning of the cry of Imam Hussein? The meaning is here. Every father, his wish is his to die and have his children to bury him. Every father. He always wants to die first and leave the children alive so they will bury the father after the father dies. But here Imam Hussein is not going to have that privilege. He has to bury his own son. And what kind of son are we talking about? We're talking about a son about like Ali al-Akbar, a great son. Now Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he cried with his son Ali al-Akbar, while Ali al-Akbar was also crying. Because they both are dear to each other. And now the enemies have to separate them against their own will. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, after they cried, Imam Hussein gave him permission to go to the battlefield. Ali al-Akbar, he went to the battlefield. As young as he was, he fought those enemies and he killed so many of them. Later on, Ali al-Akbar rushed back to his father. Then he came to the tent and said, Ya Aba lakad arhaqani al-dhama. He said, I'm so weak from the thirst. I can't continue, my father. Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at him. He said to him, my son, Ya'azzu ala abik. Is so dear to your father on a day like today when you ask him for help and he cannot help you. On a day that his enemies are more and the helpers are few. Allahu Akbar. Then Imam Hussein took off his ring and he said to Ali al-Akbar, put this ring in your mouth. Inshallah, you will get all the strength that you need. And inshallah, you will be able to go back and fight those enemies. Allahu Akbar. The narration says Ali al-Akbar took the ring, he put it in his mouth. And surely he was able to get the strength he needed. He said to his father, I'm going back. He went back to the battlefield. The narration said Ali al-Akbar fought again. As he was fighting, Imam Hussein was standing watching his son, fighting bravely. The mother was standing behind watching Imam Hussein as well. Suddenly she saw the face of Imam Hussein change. She rushed to Imam Hussein and she said, Ya Aba Abdullah, araka taghayyara wajhak. I saw your face have changed. Is my son has been killed? Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, no, your son is still alive. But somebody came out to fight him. I'm worried maybe Ali al-Akbar might not make it, he might be killed. When Imam Hussein alayhi salam said this, the mother of Ali al-Akbar turned towards the Kaaba and she started making dua. She said, Ya Radda Yusuf ila Abi. Oh Allah, you returned Yusuf to his father Yaqub. After 40 years of separation, Yaqub cried and he became blind. But you united them again, Ya Allah. I ask you, Ya Allah, don't let this son of mine to be killed unless you unite us again, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Look at the powerful of the mother's dua. The narration said Ali al-Akbar was able to kill the man. Then he rushed back to his mother. Dua of the mother was accepted. He came and hugged the mother and said salam to her for the last time to go back to the battlefield. Look at the mother, she doesn't want her son to go because of the bond and the love that she has for her son. But she has to let him go for the greatest cause that they came for. Ali al-Akbar, he said goodbye to his father. The last goodbye that they will never meet until they go to the barzakh. He then said goodbye to his mother. He went back to the battlefield. Ali al-Akbar fought like his father, like his grandfather Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullah alayhi. As he continued to fight, Umar bin Sa'allah, can he ask whose son is this? They said that is the son of Hussein, the grandson of Ali. Then he said, Wallah, this son carries the blood of Ali. If you are to fight him one by one, he will be able to fight all of us. So the best thing is to circle him, to surround him, and attack him from all the angles. Allahu Akbar. The narration said they surrounded Ali al-Akbar, a young man, and then the spears started to fly around him, and they started throwing the arrows around Ali al-Akbar. Allahu Akbar. The narration said, فَجَاءَتْهُ السِّهَامُ كَرَشْكِ الْمَطَرِ. I said the arrows were flying at Ali al-Akbar the way the rain comes down. The narration stated there that, and then they asked to attack Ali al-Akbar with their arrows. Some of them were attacking him with their swords. Ali al-Akbar fell on the ground. One of the horses dragged him to the middle of the enemies, and that is when all the enemies was striking Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar was cut into pieces, but still he had some life in him. He called his father, Assalamu alayka ya abata. Oh, peace be upon you, my father. Imam Hussein alayhi salam heard the call. He rushed towards him. He saw his son was still breathing. He lifted him up. He picked him up. He saw Ali al-Akbar was smiling. He asked him, Ya bunayya mimma adhahakak, why are you smiling? He said, Hada Jaddi Rasulullah. This is my grandfather Rasulullah. And this is my grandfather Amirul Mu'mineen on my left side. They brought me a water from the heaven, a water that I will never be thirsty after that. Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at his son and he said to him, Hani allaka ya bunay. I said, congratulations to you, my son. With this, your grandfather Imam Ali and your grandfather the Prophet are around you. I said, send salam to them, ya waladi. As he was talking to his son Ali al-Akbar passed away in the hand of his father. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, as soon as he saw his son pass away in his hand, he said, Bunayya Ali ba'daka dunya la'afa. He said, indeed, my son, this life has no meaning to your father after your death. Imam Hussein alayhi salam couldn't pick Ali al-Akbar. He came back. The narrator said that night, that day, after Ali al-Akbar was killed, Imam Hussein couldn't stand straight after that. He said, Raja al-Hussein muhdawda bil-dhahar. He came back curved because the masibah of Ali al-Akbar was too heavy for him. Allahu Akbar. When he came back to the tent, he said, Ya Ahla Abi Talib, oh, the descendant of Abu Talib, go and pick Ali al-Akbar. I have no strength to pick Ali al-Akbar. They asked him, why, Ya Hussein? He said, Wallahi kullama rafa'tu janiban tasaqat al-janib al-akhar. Anytime I lift one side of Ali al-Akbar, I say the other side falls apart. When I pick one side, the other side falls apart. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين